Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and once again it's time for the Q&A, so let's go ahead and get this started. All right, first question, and this is actually from a conjugate coach. He coaches conjugate for his people, his clients, even though he works with Gen Pop. If you switch pendlay rows with inverted rows, should you increase volume on good mornings by an extra set or two? Well, let me ask you a question. Why would you do that? Like, why would you need more good mornings? Either you're doing the appropriate amount of volume that you need for your lower back and posterior chain, or you are not. Generally, here's what happens. Usually when we take pendlay rows out to replace them with inverted rows, why are we doing so? 9 times out of 10, it's because our low back volume is getting too high. That's why we do it. When we get to a point of saying, hey, all my speed pulls and my other deadlift volume and stuff I'm doing is getting so high that the rows themselves are becoming a recovery issue, right? They're becoming a recovery issue. So then we might replace it with the inverted row to let your lower back get a little bit of rest, right? If it needs a little bit of rest, we wouldn't want to add more sets of good mornings in. And here's the next question. How can you sustain performance for more sets of good mornings? Once you're strong on a good morning, you really going to do 5 sets with the same workload you did the first 3 with? Probably not. You're going to start running out of steam real quick. It's not always going to work that well. So it's not really something you would want to do. So again, the question becomes, why did you take the pendlay rows out to replace with inverted rows? Hopefully it's because you're doing too much low back work and you need the recovery. But keep in mind, the pendlay rows don't work your lower back or your posterior chain dynamically. It's not a good hypertrophy exercise for them. It teaches you to contract them isometrically for the deadlift, right? It teaches you to contract them isometrically for the deadlift. Why we do it. It's one of the big benefits. It teaches you to set up better. But it probably isn't stimulating any real growth. So if you're taking it out, you're not losing any growth potential. You're just relieving extra stress on the low back because you were doing a lot of work. And here's the thing. If you don't feel like you need rows at all, then replace rows with something else, right? You can do some high pulls and stuff. Do other upper back work and do pull-ups and chin-ups if you don't feel that you need a row. And that's kind of the point I would come to. There's no reason to swap a row from the floor with an inverted row, barring low back fatigue. No real benefit. You get more out of the pendlay row. Let's keep that in mind, especially if you're deadlifting. So in this case, it doesn't really make sense to do that, does it? Right? It should be the other way around. It should be, I'm doing so much extra low back work that I can't recover from the rows due to the stress it puts on the back. That would be the reason. It shouldn't be that we adjust the back work, low back work, because we swap the pendlay rows with the inverted rows. That's not a reason. All right, next question. I am an athlete. I gym every time, but still I get more skinny. What's wrong? If you're skinny, it's because you do not eat enough calories. Okay? That is the single reason, the only reason. You are not eating enough calories to gain weight and to gain muscle. That's it. And weight gain and weight loss are a simple mathematical equation. Now, there's a lot of strategies that we could use. Different people need different strategies due to digestion, appetite, food intolerances, bloating, everything else, right? People need different strategies from a diet perspective. But at the end of the day, gaining weight, which again, if you're skinny, you're not gaining weight, or losing weight is completely and entirely a mathematical equation of calories in versus calories out. If you stand there and say, well, I eat a ton and you're not gaining weight, number one, you probably are lying to yourself. You probably don't. Because no one in the Western world has trouble gaining weight, right? They have access to limitless calories. It's food. That's it. Number two, if you come up and you calculate your calories and it's some astronomical number that you're eating and you're still not gaining weight, add 500 calories to whatever that number is. So you take that number X. Well, this is what it turns out I'm eating and I'm not gaining weight. You add 500 calories a day to that, I guarantee you, beyond a shadow of a doubt, with one exception I'm going to list, you will start gaining weight. You will start gaining weight, guaranteed. Guaranteed. No matter how much you think you're eating, add 500 calories to that. You will gain weight if you track it correctly. Everyone will, no matter what your metabolism is, which is usually nonsense. People don't have fast metabolisms like they think they do. They just don't eat. If you do not, if you track your calories and you're at maintenance and not gaining, you add 500 calories and you do not gain any weight in the next month, you need to see a medical doctor immediately. And I am not joking about this. This is not a game. It's not trolling. You are going to die if you do not get medical help. Because every possible cause of that is potentially lethal. Every single disease that is capable of preventing you from gaining weight, if you know for a fact you went into a calorie surplus over your maintenance, is potentially deadly. They are type 1 diabetes, very serious. You have major cancer. You have cancer that is spread really bad, like you're in trouble right now. You need to probably be on chemo next week. Okay, you may not survive anyways if you let it get that far. You're in trouble. You have cancer. Number 3, you have a massive parasite in your intestine of some type. You probably have a tapeworm or something, in which case, again, that needs to be treated pretty quickly. Okay, you've got a parasite. Those are the only 3 medical conditions of which I am aware that can cause this. Fast metabolism is not one of them. All right, next question. Your personal opinion on fitness standards for a cop, like what's reasonably okay for maximum performance on the job? All right, good question. I actually do train police. One of my guys right now is an MP in the Army, one of my clients. The person I originally wrote the Ice Cream Fitness 5x5 for and ran on is a police officer, one of my best lifelong friends. He is in his 40s now and a warrant officer and on a CERT team still in his 40s. So I have some ideas on this. All right, strength standards, you need to hit my minimum. You need to hit my minimum novice standards that I had set. You need to be able to bench 225, squat 315, deadlift 405. I'd like to see you be able to overhead press at least one plate aside too, 135, right? I think that you need to be able to do this if you want to be effective as a police officer, meaning you want to have the strength necessary to deal with the different situations you're going to potentially find yourself in. It'll put you in an advantage, and it will improve your officer presence because you're going to be thicker. You're going to stand better. You're going to look stronger, and that's important. Again, I know enough police that is important for officer presence. You need to have some decent conditioning too. Right? You need to have some decent conditioning. I don't know that I would set specific standards, right? But you need to be able to run 100 meters in a reasonable time, right? You should probably be able to jog a mile. And, it doesn't need to be anything great. It doesn't even need to be a 6-minute mile. I would say a good standard would be maybe an 8-minute mile. If you can run 1 mile in 8 minutes, right? You run 1 mile in 8 minutes and you can hit my novice strength standards. I think that would be a good baseline for law enforcement, and then improve from there, right? Because we always want to improve. That's what I think would be a very, very good idea for that line of work, right? Not just for your ability to do your job, but for you to be able to de-escalate situations better with officer presence, because that matters, doesn't it? Your ability to be confident and look intimidating and stand intimidating due to your muscle and your strength can help de-escalate situations so that they don't get out of control, right? Because nobody wants that. People would much rather, I don't care whether it's the police, the criminal, the public, everybody would be happier if more situations could be de-escalated without it coming to force. Right? Everybody wins if that happens. And I think this will help you do that and then get a lot stronger and bigger from there over the years. All right, guys, well, that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.